Many rental property owners think they need multiple quotes for every repair, but they are unknowingly driving up their cost. I'm going to share one simple rule that will keep your repair costs down and ensure that your handyman shows up. Hi, I'm Brian Bean with Dream Big Property Management here in Riverside, California. This is the last piece of our 4-part Maintenance Mastery series. Today, we're talking about a common but expensive mistake that many mom and pop investors make: multiple quotes for every single repair call. In part 2 of this series, you learned why fix fast is always cheaper than fix slow. It reduces damage, reduces costs, creates happy residents who stay longer, they pay on time, they're going to take better care of your property. A lot of investors have trouble achieving that goal. They may want to fix fast, but they get in their own way. They order up multiple bids on everything, even the smallest repair. And I get that. Seems logical that if you want to save money, you get more than one opinion. But maybe somebody will do it cheaper, right? The problem is it ends up costing you more in the long run. Here's how. Time and materials repairs, the smaller routine stuff, isn't going to yield much lower cost from one handyman to the next. The parts are going to be about the same price regardless of who drives to Home Depot to pick them up. And the estimate for the cost of labor is really just an educated guess based on the symptoms. Once they get into that job, if they find something else that was unknown, it's going to cost more, guaranteed. Ultimately, requesting multiple quotes just ends up taking more time, and in the process, increasing cost. The most obvious way is when damage is accruing because something hasn't been fixed yet, and it's going to cost more to fix it. The other, you're going to see right out of the gate. Handymen and contractors do not spend their days giving out free quotes. If you send them to give a quote and they don't get the job, you're getting a bill for that service call. That's an extra $100 or so, and the work hasn't even started yet. There are 2 other intangible problems. They're hard to see in the moment, but they can have a significant impact down the road. The first we've talked about at length. It's so important, though, that I really can't repeat it enough. The longer it takes to get something fixed, the more frustrated your residents become. Unhappy residents become uncooperative residents. And if there's a pattern of delays, your residents will look for another home, and you'll be dealing with a much more expensive problem: vacancy. The other is the impact on your vendor relationship. When you send multiple handymen to quote a job, they may get out there to take a look at it really quick. But the next time you have a repair, those same vendors are likely going to charge you more, they're not going to prioritize you, or they may not respond at all because they do not feel valued by you. And the fact is, you do not value them enough. Great vendors save you money. If you have a regular handyman and you trust them and they trust you, when you call, they rearrange their schedule, they get things fixed quickly, and they give you great prices because they know that you always call them. But if you're just using them to get the price down on somebody else, don't expect them to play along and don't expect their preferred customer pricing. Now, I'm not talking about big ticket items here. Larger projects or price tags often call for a second opinion. Issues like HVAC replacement, a new roof, or a large plumbing project. For large projects, there will be differences in price, material quality, and warranty. It only makes sense to have a second opinion. But when a garbage disposal dies, this does not warrant more than one estimate. A routine repair such as swapping out a small appliance is going to cost about the same regardless of whom you send. The hope that you're going to save $100 in exchange for taking 3 extra days to get it done is a net loss. One of our clients is struggling with this concept right now. Her home is recently vacant and there's a punch list of items to get it ready for the next resident. The list includes paint, carpet, and then several small handyman type tasks such as installing a towel rack and fixing a slider door latch, replacing the lock sets, things like that. The owner got a second opinion on the carpet and the paint, but now she wants a quote on the smaller items, which it's literally taking, I'm not kidding, an extra 10 days to obtain. At monthly rent of $3,000, that alone is $1,000 in extra lost rent. There is no possible way that a second opinion is going to cost that much less than the first opinion. And in the end, it will be a net loss to the owner. Meanwhile, on another of our clients' properties, a resident complained about a toilet that was not working properly. It was old, had no flushing power, and this was in a one-bath property. We sent a handyman who replaced the toilet for $375 same day. Problem solved, efficient repair, happy residents. The chances of getting that done for $50 cheaper is possible. But even so, the tenants would have been without a properly working toilet for at least another day. There's no good way to spend that. Now, how do you know if you should request another estimate? Well, we use the simple rule that we call GSD for Get Stuff Done. When a vendor is on site and diagnoses a problem, if the cost is less than $500, they are under the instructions to complete that repair, send us the bill. Repairs over $500, they call us directly from on site so that we can either approve it or get approval from the owner and then let them know whether to proceed before they leave the work site. For higher priced non-emergency issues, there may be another level to deal with and another opinion to request. And in some cases of an emergency, such as like a water leak, that $500 threshold takes a back seat. Stopping the damage is the primary concern, even if it costs more than $500. And then we can regroup and consider the rest of the repairs in a more logical, less stressful way. We dealt with one of these scenarios this week. A resident called and said they had water seeping out from the bottom of both sides of a wall. Our guys were on site the same day. They had the wall opened. They found a water supply line with a pressurized leak. That is a very bad thing. They fixed the pipe. They put fans and a dehumidifier on it right away, and the cost of that initial work was more than $1,500. There was no pre-approval. There was no second opinion. That would have created a much bigger problem and maybe even a mold remediation. Sometimes you just have to get stuff done, and then you avoid the bigger stuff later. Our GSD system saves time and money. It keeps residents happy and in place. And it strengthens our handyman relationship, which I can attest absolutely means preferred pricing for our clients. Put it to work, you'll see the benefits too. This wraps up our Maintenance Mastery series. In part 1, we talked about who's responsible when something breaks at your rental home. Part 2 was all about why speed matters when it comes to repairs. In part 3, we taught you how to budget for repairs on your rental. And today is all about removing bottlenecks and getting stuff done. If you missed any of the previous videos, we'll include links in the show notes below. Repairs and maintenance is the most important but often glossed over concern of your rental property. It touches every segment of your tenants, property, and profitability. And if not handled correctly, it can lead to unpleasant legal complications. But now, armed with this information, you can make more informed decisions that help you scale your rental property in the future. If you have questions about anything you've heard here today, call me directly at 951-314-5402. I'm happy to share. You can also find valuable information on our website, dreambigpm.com. And as always, if you found this information useful, please do us a favor, like and subscribe so we can help others just like you. Don't be accidental about your future. Be intentional to your success.